I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
My normal speech, and if you have cell phones, you can either mute them or put them on vibrate. I would appreciate it. Thank you. All right, the approval of the treasurer warrants for October 20th and October 27th. Do I have a motion?
I'll move the warrants of October 20th, 27th, and November 3rd.
Second.
All those in favor? Accounts payable warrants for October 24th, October 31st, and November 7th.
So moved.
I'll second. All those in favor? Okay, approval of the minutes of October 17th, 2017. Do we have any corrections, omissions, or? Is there anything?
The minutes of October 17, 2017.
Second.
Second, all those in favor? Thank you. Right now, we have a special presentation. I'd like to have the board and Chief Lang and Michael Smith and his family come to the front, please. Would like to present this to you in recognition of outstanding service to Officer Michael Smith. We great appreciation for your 25 years of dedication and commitment to the Wiscasset Police Department. Thank you for going above and beyond serving the citizens of Wiscasset. Thank you very much. Thank you, Mike. Also, before we go ahead, on behalf of the Board of Selectmen, I would like to thank all of those who responded during the last storm. Our firefighters, our police, our ambulance, our highway department, anybody who helped out at the community center. The community came together and fought this storm, and I appreciate it, and so does the board. Thank you very much, all of you. Okay, the next one is a motion to appoint Steve Wallace to the Budget Committee. Do I have a motion?
I make a motion to approve.
I'll second it. All those in favor? Thank you. This portion of the meeting is the public comment section. At each regular selectman meeting, there will be time devoted to any resident, taxpayer, or in the case of an organization, an authorized representative of a resident or taxpayer of the town of Wiscasset to address the selectmen regarding any item that is not, on the agenda for that meeting. Do we have any public comment at this point? Seeing none, we will go on. Department head or committee chair, Chief of Police Jeff Lang, proposed new program at the Wiscasset Middle School. Chief?
Good evening. As you're fully aware, I wrote a letter to all of you, the school board, and the superintendent and town manager, of my concerns with the program that will be coming to the Wiscasset Middle High School. They've received a grant for $518,000. My concerns are listed in that letter that I wrote, and I'll briefly go over them. That I feel that security was not even looked at when they thought of this going forward. This is the first, according to Superintendent Wilmot, I had met with her on the 31st of October. There was no plans for additional security in this $518,000. My concern is that the SRO will be only positioned there. We're going to lack the elementary school by having no coverage there, because I believe his duties will be focused on this program. This program is bringing in additional 18 to 20-year-olds. Now with the 6th graders going over to the middle high school, I find this a little alarming. These individuals are known to have be verbally abusive, have some irrational behavior issues. I'm all for helping these children, 100%. I'm willing to give it a chance, but I need to have a plan. There is no plan when it came to security for these individuals coming to the school. Absolutely none. When I talked to the superintendent, it was mentioned that in the future years, that these towns that bring in these children or adults to this program, that a portion of that money could go towards security. That's not guaranteed, it's not written anywhere. But since the SRO this year alone has made 6 arrests without this program in the school for drugs and alcohol. 3 arrests were on one individual who was over 18 years old. Granted, there were no felonies, but it's still drugs in the schools. We've had multiple alternative corrective measures with about 10 to 12 children that were not charged formally, going through restorative justice or other programs. So the SRO has been busy in the last few months since school has started. That's just this year alone. My concern is when this program does start, there's not enough security for the students and the staff at the high school. I don't believe it was mentioned anywhere or thought about. And I have a copy of the grant itself, and it's not listed in there as well.
And you have met with the superintendent of schools,
That is correct.
and they don't feel that that is a concern?
No, it was not a concern for them when they built this.
I just want to let the board know that I did speak with the superintendent today, and she said that she would be pleased to come before the board and make a presentation to the board on the program at their next meeting, which is next Tuesday. She will be sharing additional information with the school board, so I would invite anyone who's interested in this to be sure to attend. But if you would like the superintendent to come, she is pleased to do that. So just let me know, and I will extend the opportunity to her.
Yes, Catherine?
Is there anybody from the Wiscasset School Board in the audience tonight that could answer? I've got a whole bunch of questions
Yes.
about this.
Those that would have to go to the superintendent at this point.
Well, I was given permission to represent tonight if anybody had any questions.
Okay.
And I'm Jason Putnam.
I'm concerned about the safety of not only the students that are in the school, regular students. I'm concerned about the safety of the staff. I'm concerned about the safety of the SRO with...
I'm certain the SRO can
I'm
handle
not
the
finished.
teenager. I'm
I am
sorry.
not finished. When I'm finished, you can say whatever you want.
Yes, ma'am.
The safety, I think of, as I just mentioned, is a primary concern. I mean, there's all kinds of training that is required for this type of thing. I saw it mentioned, but I don't know whether the police department has training in restraining children, which is a mandatory type of training for this type of program, and I've gotten this all on good authority. I read this, I met with a person who is very familiar with education and grants and everything, and this is scary. Very scary.
Well, first of all, we don't know the number of children at this point. It's going to be multiple towns. It's probably going to be 8 kids with 4 adults. These are not criminals. These are not felons. These are generally depressed children who cannot function well. They're more prone to self-harm than to harming anybody else. I consider this personally a tempest in the teapot. This is being overblown in typical small-town fashion, that this is scaring the hell out of everybody. This is a special ed program. These children are entitled to their fair and appropriate public education. This is good for everybody, especially the children. I am not an educator. No, there will be a clinical social worker there. There will be a special ed teacher and ed techs. These are not kids, this is not the inner city. This is a program for kids that have had poor upbringings and poor lives and have a hard time functioning in public schools.
I understand that, but they have behavior issues.
Well, what kid
It's a little
doesn't?
bit more
What kid doesn't?
disturbing than.
I can't tell you because of executive, or what do you want to say? I can't discuss certain things that have happened, but regular kids are just as liable to be dangerous as any of these children. You know, this is being overblown right from the beginning. This is a great opportunity for the school, for the children. This is a great opportunity for the taxpayers of Wiscasset.
Well,
This will save, I mean, we have to educate these. Some of these kids are going to be our kids.
I'd like to say something regarding
Absolutely.
what you feel is right for the town of Wiscasset. I too went over this grant. We have $518,000 for the first year. Then, after that, it's going to be appropriated through 5 towns, which we will be one of them. It also says in here that the cost savings for these other towns is tremendous. RSU 12 is $650,000 a year. Excuse me.
All right, I'm sorry.
Wiscasset is $172,332. I'm also looking at the financial plus the safety of these children. I agree, they deserve a chance. Every child deserves a chance, I agree. But I'm looking at what it's going to cost the community, safety-wise, if we need to have another SRO in a budget. Once this first year is over with, where do we go from there? We've asked to cut $500,000 out of the town budget, which means we're going to have to make drastic cuts to meet that $500,000. But we have a school system that seems not to care.
That's not true.
Please, let me finish. This is my viewpoint as a citizen of this town and as taxpayer. I just wonder, a lot of times the Board of Selectmen will ask the town for a vote on different issues because we want their opinion. We want to know how they think. Did the school board ever do anything to put this out to the community to find out how the community felt, what they want to happen to their schools?
This was discussed at several public meetings.
I was at your last meeting. I really was, and Michael Dunn made the statement, we can't drag people in. No, you can't, no more than we can. I agree. I understand that. But many times, the school board has done I'm trying to think if they put it online to have people come in and voice their opinion. Did this happen with this? Did we go to the townspeople? Did we ask the teachers? Did we ask the staff? These are my questions, not only the financial end of it.
I am certain that the teachers and staff were discussed this last year.
Well, I'm concerned about this, I really truly am.
Well,
I realize every child deserves a chance, and I agree, but it also states in here up to 26 children. It states in this grant.
well, I don't think at this
Well, it
point, it's
makes
a pilot
some-
program, it's a pilot program, so if it doesn't work out, it doesn't have to go on. But the other part of it too is we're centrally located, we need funds. It's a regional program that the state wants us to do, the state wants to regionalize. Now,
I'm going to get off onto a tangent here pretty soon. I'm wondering if this is being done to increase our population at the school, to make us look good, or is
No,
it really
this is
done
the-
to help the children?
it was proposed and it was accepted.
Oh, I
You know what I mean? Well, obviously it's to help the children, and it's obvious to help the taxpayers of Wiscasset.
How is that going to help the taxpayers of Wiscasset when we are going to have to fund this eventually?
You will have to fund it
How,
eventually.
we not?
Well, you'll have to, if we don't have this program, we'll pay tuition to send our children to another program. We'll have it here already. We're gonna receive tuition from other towns for this program.
It's not going to pay for this program. You can't.
I don't understand how you can say that. You don't seem
I'm
educated on it.
not going to sit here and argue with you. I'm really not, but you'd have to really show me on paper where we would,
Well, like
it's
she
going
said,
to cost the
Dr.
town
Wilhelm,
money.
everything's gonna cost the town money, but we have a responsibility to educate our children,
These are our children.
aren't they?
Do they live in Wiscasset? They're not our children.
Some of them will be, and some of them are gonna be ours.
I'm not.
They're growing up right now. They're coming down the pike right now. You have to think progressively and think about the future. Nothing's gonna stay the same in Wiscasset. It can't stay the same. Everything has to change. This is a good thing for the town and a good thing for the kids.
Catherine.
I would like to perhaps table all of this until the superintendent will meet the whole board and whoever else is here for the public. I was hoping she'd be here tonight, but obviously that didn't happen. We could sit here all night and argue about all of this stuff and not get any answers, and I think she's the one that will give us the answers, so.
I agree, but I think we also have to take some budget time. We may have to.
This isn't
reconsider.
gonna affect the town budget at all. This is gonna be good for the town budget. We put forth a budget with 0 tax increase for the payers last time. And it looks like we can do it again.
Thank you. Yes, Chief.
I'd just like to correct one thing that gentleman just talked about, and it was confirmed through Superintendent Wilmot that these children, we do not know if they have criminal histories, criminal backgrounds. They do not do criminal checks. On an 18 to 20-year-old is different. If they have felonies, that is releasable to the public. Any felony is releasable to the public, even if you're a juvenile. That's the law. So if these individuals that are 18 to 20, and I'm not saying as a scare tactic or anything like that, if they did come from a different town that are sexual registrants or any of the like, that is a possibility. I'm not scaring anyone here, but that is a possibility. A criminal history should be done on 18 to 20-year-olds if they're going to be entering this program. The other aspect with the school, another school resource officer, I talked to Heather about this, and my suggestion would be in the coming years, after this goes through for the first year, if the need is there, my recommendation would be a part-time school resource officer that can float back and forth, that can assist the full-time school resource officer, if this program takes off, to the 26 individuals that is expected.
Thank you. Kim, you had something you wanted to say?
Not really. So I'm Kim Anderson, and I'm a teacher at the Wiscasset High School, and I love our schools very much. I'm probably gonna cry. I feel really upset and emotional about this program. So all right, so as you know, I'm a teacher, but before that, I'm a parent, and also before that, with my husband, I'm a taxpayer and a homeowner. And I love our town, and this is where we've built our home, and this is where we intend to stay. And we have poured everything that we have into trying to make these schools as great as they can. When my son went to kindergarten, I started as a volunteer, and by the time he was in the 5th grade, I changed careers, and I got a job at the high school in a self-contained behavior program called Aspirations. It was formerly known as Alt-Ed, Alternative Education. It was located at the playground. Now, we still run that program. We moved it up to the high school a few years ago, and now that building is our superintendent's building. While I was there, I worked with students in a highly therapeutic environment, students who had behavior disabilities, and I loved those kids and worked with them and helped them as much as I could every day to get their high school education in the least restrictive environment. Sometimes those kids would escalate beyond what we could do in that program in our school. And then they would get moved into what's called day treatment. Now this program, the grant that Heather wrote, is being referred to as the Wiscasset Regional Education Program. But what it is a day treatment center. This is not just another special ed program for depressed children. This is a special education program for students who will have behavior disabilities that are such that they cannot function in the mainstream environment. Now the reason we're doing this, it's part of a larger program from the DOE, because regionalization is the word in the street. And so the DOE put out a grant program called ESCAPE. It stands for something fancy, ESCAPE. And they are looking for people to save money on education, right? This is a big problem in our state. The cost of education is too high, and special education is really high. And so they want to bring down the costs on these day treatment centers. These are centers like Spurwink or Sweetser or Project Achieve. These are other programs you may have heard of. They have tuition rates that run $60,000 to $100,000 per year. That's why it's so expensive. Now at our last school board meeting, Heather and Michael tossed the number back and forth. I haven't seen this in writing, but I did hear them say that we will be charging a tuition rate of $30,000 per year. So if you just look at the $518,000 grant, which I think that covers salaries primarily for 2 years, it's got $15,000 built in to renovate the room, which by the way does not include money for things like the lighting, that these kids, specialized lighting and noise reduction that these students will need to help them not get triggered or escalate, as we say. So mostly that grant money is for the salaries of a social worker, a special ed teacher, and 3 ed techs. After 2 years, the grant is over, and then what we'll pay for, this is 1 year. After some time, the grant is over, and then the salaries will need to come from the tuition of the kids. So if you're charging $30,000 per kid, you're looking at the first 8 kids just covering our costs. This doesn't include anything for additional nurse or additional administrator. There's a requirement to have an administrator full-time for the program. Now, I'm probably losing my job right now, which breaks my heart. But I have to speak out because it keeps me up at night, and I love this town and I love the school so much. The process did not include any input from any stakeholders, which is why the chief is sitting here today, because he is a prime stakeholder in our schools. Staff was not consulted on this. There's not a teacher in our school who thinks that this program is a good idea. There's not an administrator in our building who supports it. The first time anybody heard about the program was on May 25th at a school board meeting in the superintendent's report. And she reported that she won an award for a special education program. Now, I contacted the state and I got the proposal because I asked first from Heather. I went to Heather's office. I've emailed her. I've gone through all the proper channels. We've had meetings. We've invited her to staff meetings. It's been canceled. I got the proposal from the state, the date on that proposal is February 25th. So I went back, because I sort of was scolded at the school board meeting that I had missed something. I go to all the meetings. I should be home with my family, but I go to all the meetings, and I thought, how could I have missed this? How did I forget? There was the pre-K program, which we lost out to RSU 12. There was the energy project was the big thing from last year, which didn't happen. And I looked at all of the minutes and all of the agendas, and I didn't miss anything. This happened, and there were no stakeholders at the table. There just wasn't. So I'm concerned about the process. And I wonder if there is anything we as a town can do to ensure that as new administrators come to our town and they build their programs and their projects and then they move on. Because as we know, Heather is the 19th superintendent in the past 23 years. And we are always left here holding the bag. What can we do as a town? Is there anything maybe we can, it's almost time for strategic planning, right? The comprehensive plan. If somehow we could include the schools. 52% of my $4,700 tax bill go to the school. And I work there, and I'm a parent of students there. I feel like I should have some input on the future. This is a big program that's going to have a tremendous impact, not only on the children in the building and the staff that work there, and on all of the other districts around who are saving money hand over fist. I feel like I don't know what we can do. I'm beside myself, and I just thought I have to say something. So there you have it. It's invite Heather in, but she has already labeled this project as non-negotiable. So I don't know if there's anything we could do.
Thank you, Kim. Yes, sir.
My name is Mark Swartz.
You'd have to come up here, please, and state your name.
My name is Mark Swartz. I'm a resident here. I just have a simple question. If the board, after all due diligence and speaking to the superintendent and all that you will do hearing this situation, are you able to stop this, or is it going to happen anyway? And so this is just a big discussion about something that we have no control over.
That's a very good question.
Yeah, I mean, isn't that really the central issue? Because we all can have an opinion, pro or con, and you can bring in superintendent, other people, and the chief can tell us, you know, potential issues. But if you're not able to do something with that information, what good is it to us?
I don't know if there is anything we can do, and that's why I mentioned the fact why the town was not given input before this even came about. Because I think it's very important. These are our schools, these are our children. This is going to affect all of us in this town. And maybe my direction of where I'd like to see the school goes is different than what Ben wants or Jeff wants. But it's like, in my opinion, they're not listening. Now, I don't know where we could go from here, to be honest with you. I don't know.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you. Yes, Bill?
Bill Marks, Wiscasset resident. This subject is just getting out, and there are a lot of people that are asking questions and wondering where this is going. And I certainly don't know, but I can look at a couple of people here that, like myself, went through the school systems here, and what you're talking about, I don't know about them, but as myself, I can't imagine what these kinds of students are doing in the school system. They certainly deserve to be taken care of, but I don't believe in that. People have brought their concerns to me too, that they don't believe that they belong in the school system. So I hope you people really, really just sit right down and really think what's going on. And I mean, students that are trying to learn and learning and doing good in school. I mean, it sounds to me like some of these students that you want to bring in here can't even associate with these other kids. So I just hope, for everybody's sake, that you people really take a real close look at what could be going on in this school system if you let this happen.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
My name is Trinity Jeffrey, and I'm a student at the high school. I just had a couple of comments about having the students come up. And having students have the opportunity to learn, I don't think should be restricted, regardless if they have behavioral issues or not. Because I can personally say that I've had a family member go through Sweetser, and even when they were there, it didn't work. When they were around teachers who were not oppressive like the people at Sweetser were, the people who were too authoritative in their faces made them more anxious, we're not good teachers at schools. So when you have students with behavioral issues come to schools, why is the first thought automatically that they have something wrong? Maybe, again, they could just have anxiety issues or depression. It doesn't automatically mean they're going to be violent or have anything that's going to regard anyone else's safety. So that's just my question, is why does it have to be the automatically assumed thing?
Well, I think it states in the grant, if I'm not mistaken, as I read it, that these students are children that no other school system will take. So there has to be a reason why they're not taking them. They won't take them, and they're going to be coming here. I mean, I think it's a concern. I'm not saying every child's bad. Please don't take me that way, because I know they're not. And I feel that every child deserves a chance. And if there's a way it can be done, I'm all for it. But I'm also looking at all the children, not just one child or this 26. My concern, as I've said before, is number one, that the townspeople did not really give any input into this program, bringing this program and putting our schools, turning our schools into that direction. And also the financial cost to the town after 1 year. That's a concern also.
I'm pretty sure it also states that you don't have to continue it after 2 years. The grant will pay for 2 years. If you don't think it'll work out, you can cancel it. So that's why I don't think trying it out will be any bad, have a bad course, because if they're giving us a grant to pay for them and then we don't like how it works out, we can cancel the program. So why not give it a chance? Like, for what we have at the school, speaking for the students, as myself and other people here, I think giving these kids a chance will not just help them, but help us realize that we're more open arms than everybody else, so why not help them out? You know, so I just think that having these kids come up and be around other students instead of being put up in these facilities like people think they need to be is not good for them, the state, or anybody else. Just to lock a kid up because you don't want to put work into it, that doesn't make sense. There's a reason people don't do that anymore. They put work into students, they try to help people. Putting them in facilities like that doesn't help them.
Thank you very much. Catherine?
I think a lot of people seem to think that the Board of Selectmen can do something about this, but we can't. The school board is the entity that manages the school, comes up with their budget, et cetera, et cetera. We would like to work with the school board, and I think maybe someday that will happen. But I think the chief bringing this grant to our attention was a good thing. More people now know about it, and there are concerns, safety, and is number one in my book, and of course the finances. We're all taxpayers, and all our tax dollars go to support the schools and the town and everything else. And I just wanted to make that clear.
Yes.
Yeah, I just want to caution against further demonizing these children and this program until you see how it goes. And the school board doesn't attempt to run the town, but the town definitely attempts to run the school, the select board. We all know what happened to the energy project, and once again, you guys are getting into something that you're not really qualified to deal with, and you don't really have the right to deal with.
I think, sir, you need to sit down at this point. The reason we got involved in the energy project was the financial end of it. That was what we brought up to the town, and I would do it again if I had to. Because when you're talking $1.7 million, I think the townspeople had a right to say yes or no, we want to spend that money. This is an informative thing from the chief regarding what is happening in our schools, and it could become a financial situation for the town. We will meet with the superintendent and we will take it from there. Thank you.
I'm really
Yes, Bob.
disappointed with the mean-spiritedness of this discussion. This really is depressing, you know.
Yes, Bob.
I just want to say, I haven't meddled with what the school does.
What's that?
I said, I haven't meddled with what.
I'm not talking about you personally.
Okay.
I actually have a
Thank
great deal
you.
of respect for you.
And thank you for speaking. You clearly don't have the support of the board in this, and I understand that. I mean, with you tonight, I understand. But I just did want to ask one question. You spoke about this being a pilot program, and does that mean that once it's put in place, that it would have to run for 2 years? Or does,
I think
is
it's
there
a, I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was just gonna, is there an opportunity to withdraw if it doesn't appear to be what it is?
Absolutely, absolutely. And I think we should give it a try before we,
Well, I'd like to be able to ask those questions like that and more, and not of a single board member, because it
Right,
really puts you on the
right.
spot, but of the
I think we need to
superintendent.
meet with the superintendent at that point.
all right.
Thank you.
Thank you, Bob.
Yes.
I just want to be sure that the board understands that Heather did call today, and the reason that she couldn't be here this evening is she had another meeting that she had to be at, and that's why she offered to come at a future date, and also to invite the board and any members of the public to their meeting next week. So I don't want anyone to get the impression that she didn't want to be here. She just couldn't be two places at once.
So we can set her up for our next, see if she can attend our next meeting. Yes. I think that would be good if we could have her to attend our next meeting. Yes. Thank you. All right, we'll go on to unfinished business. Reconsideration of action taken at the October 3rd, 2017 meeting regarding the board's position on downtown parking.
I have been in touch with the majority of business people and a lot of other people. I've spent weeks, and I would like to offer, in fact, there are handouts up here if people want them. They're two-sided, and it's titled Town of Wiscasset Board of Selectmen Motion and Order. The first page and part of the second page are a lot of whereases, which is with our legal terminology. And the point of this whole thing is to have the town agree to litigate on behalf of its citizens in Superior Court to let MDOT know that the parking issue downtown is not acceptable as they have presented it. And hopefully the board will agree to the motion that I will read in a minute. But we'll probably need, I should make the motion and then discuss it, right? Are there any more questions? I mean, that's the intent of this. The reason the hearing litigation was not acceptable to the court was because it was a legal technicality. They were private citizens. And that's what negated the whole thing. But if the town of Wiscasset files the Superior Court, that will at least put MDOT on notice that they cannot proceed until we get this thing cleared away.
I think Catherine has something she'd like to share.
So this is what I would like to make, and hopefully that the board will agree, to authorize and instruct the town manager to retain a qualified, independent attorney deemed sufficient by the select board to file a petition to the Maine Superior Court on behalf of the town, seeking it to require MDOT, before it commences any option to demolition or construction, to comply with all applicable town ordinances, MDOT regulations and policies, and state law, including the following. A, obtaining a municipal state project agreement with the town as approved by the voters, obtaining all applicable town permits and approvals, accepting the will of the town voters as expressed in their binding June 2017 referendum vote, rejecting the changes made by MDOT to the option 2 project since June 2016, and accepting the will of the select board in its June 2017 vote, withdrawing its support of option 2, and its October 2017 vote, opposing MDOT's removal of Main Street parking. In retaining independent counsel, the town manager is authorized to use funds approved by the voters by warrant article for legal services, and is further authorized to accept donations of money to the town to supplement this specific appropriation. And number 3 and last is, in accordance with the representation that MDOT made to the town in May 2016, that it would abide by the will of the town in deciding on any downtown traffic improvement project design, to invite MDOT as an alternative to a court action to work with the town on other design options, such as an improved option number 1, that would maintain Main Street parking and preserve and return Haggett Garage to the community. That basically is my motion, and I want to add that I don't think the downtown businesses need Main Street parking. It's just the basic economics 101. I mean, it just is.
I'll second the motion.
Thank
It's
you.
been motion and seconded. Catherine, you have something you'd like to say? Marion, I'm sorry.
I thought she did that earlier.
I probably did.
No, it's okay. I just wanted to share with the other board members and members of the public. I think it's important for the public to know that the Board of Selectmen has been working behind the scenes diligently. I actually attended a meeting with Bob Langdon and Ben Rhines last week with MDOT in Augusta. The police chief and myself had a very brief meeting with Ernie Martin from MDOT yesterday. That he did come down with a plan that has not yet received final approval from the folks that are supervising the project, but they are considering some downtown parking. They are also considering some improvements to what we commonly refer to as the Treats parking lot out back. I just want folks to know that the board has been working very hard, and we did have a very candid conversation with the folks from MDOT. We did talk about the fact that the manager personally is not going to park at Railroad Avenue and run into Treats and get her tea. So, and I use that as an example for them to understand that the nature of some of our businesses are not such that they would be supported by long distance parking. So I think that MDOT is listening. They obviously heard the two board members, and please chime in on anything that you feel is appropriate. But we have gone to Augusta, and we did have a visit from MDOT yesterday. I don't have the final plans, I don't have the final offer, but I just wanted to share that with you.
Catherine?
I wished I could have gone to Augusta with you, but it just wasn't meant to be. I think MDOT listens, but they don't hear. At least in my mind, they don't. And I think this is rather timely on their part to, put this carrot in front of us. But there is no guarantee that that is exactly what's going to happen, because Ernie Martin has a whole layer of chiefs and bosses, et cetera, and we have no idea whether or not this is going to happen. That's why I think we need to do this. And if we don't do this, they're going to just railroad this thing right through, and we have businesses that need our support. And without Main Street parking, it'll be a ghost town. It's just unthinkable.
Any other comments from the board members?
I think Daphne stated it very well. I agree. Without the Main Street parking, the whole downtown will collapse.
Thank you.
Yes, Bob?
I just want to say, I spoke to Catherine earlier. I wished that I had known that she was available for that meeting. Knowing that she's on the PAC committee, I would have been glad to let her know. I was not aware that she was available, so I went. And frankly, I got the message from the DOT that the parking was off the table, so I'm now surprised to see that it might have suddenly resurfaced, but I hope it's a sincere move, but I would consider it possibly a bit of a carrot.
Anyone else on board? Does anyone on the public have anything they would like to add? Yes, sir.
My name is Mark Swartz. Are you all aware that there is a contract that will be awarded for the demolition of Haggard a week from today?
Yes.
To me, that means that this lawsuit has to go in tomorrow, so to speak, if we're going to stop that process. Because once that contract's awarded, that process will just continue on. So time is really of the essence relative to that motion.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, Catherine?
I was aware of that too, and in my enthusiasm, I neglected to mention that, and I would like it in the record that this be filed within the next 24 hours and no longer than 24 hours. In fact, send somebody an email, whoever we use or decide to use, that this is going to happen and we want it done immediately. Whether, I don't know how you get it to them, scan it and fax it or whatever, but it has to be done, because the 15th is the deadline for the bids to come in. And I am sure they have all kinds of contractors waiting in the wings to come to town, and the first thing they want to do, I'm sure of it, I feel it, that's what will happen, they're going to tear down the Haggard building. So I think we need to do this ASAP.
Yes, Mr. Leslie.
Seaver Leslie, member of the Public Advisory Committee for this project. You've all heard from me before. I'm somewhat offended that you all went up to see the Department of Transportation without representation from our point of view. And I think it's very important to realize that Ernie Martin and various proposals that they come up with that will appease things temporarily are only glossing over the real issue here, which is basically the economy of this town. And we have to realize that action has to be taken for judgment. We need outside help on this. We need a judgment taken. The Deerings we're not legitimately signed up to take court action. The municipality is. We want to get back to the table with the Department of Transportation. These are questions that I, as a member of the Public Advisory Committee, asked since last December and were never answered. They came down here with a plan. They glossed over their plan and all the flyers they sent out and all the information that was on the computer. They moved forward with this plan, lightning speed. It's not what's best for this town, the future of this town. I think this is a very serious issue that we must get judgment on. This is the last resort, is to file an injunction, which Catherine has mentioned you have in front of you. It's really important. We have support people who've done all the legwork. The legal work has been done pro bono for the town. You must sign on to this and get a judgment. It's very, very crucial for the future of what's going on. We can make concessions with the DOT. We can make the safety designs that they're discussing. We can do the bump outs and lights, whatever they want to do. But there are other ways to design this project. Not simply option 2, but other ways to design it, which will let this town proceed with the success that we have in the downtown at present. So I encourage you to please vote for this, and let's get started and get a judgment on this so we can sit back down at the table and design this project for the best for this town. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we have a motion on the table. I'm not going to read the motion again, seeing it's so long. All those in favor? All opposed? 3-2. The next item on the agenda is the auditor's report. Mary?
I spoke with the town's auditor, and he has asked for us to defer this until our first meeting in December. As you know, with the change in auditing, they've been sharing information with our previous auditor, and it's just taken a little more time than they anticipated. He did apologize for that, and is hopeful that he'll be able to move this along. So we'll be before the board at your first meeting in December.
Thank you. Okay, the next item, EPA Brownfields Cleanup Grant Application for Point East Maritime Village. Mary?
So, as you know, we have been working, one of the town's economic goals is to redevelop the Mason Station property. We did apply for a brownfields grant last year. We were not successful. With the help of Lincoln County Planning, which I will tell you, they put in incredible hours on behalf of the town of Wiscasset to help us move this grant forward. These letters that I'm asking permission to sign are the same letters that we signed last year. The only notation is that in your packet there were 3 letters, and we made the decision to not apply for 35 South Point Drive and 7 Westerly Way. So we're only asking for permission to sign for 2 of the letters. Mary Ellen is here from Lincoln Planning somewhere if you have any technical questions, but we will be having a public hearing Thursday evening, this coming Thursday evening, and we would invite all of you to attend. The town's consultant will be here to explain what our cleanup plan is. For those of you that are familiar with the property, you know there's an ash pond out there. There are a couple other things that are holding us back on redeveloping the parcel. The board has met on different occasions with developers who are very interested in moving forward with projects out there, but we need to VRAP some of those lots and to clean up some of the areas that are out there. So I would again ask for the board's same support that you provided last year. And I would just remind you that the 20% cost share for us mostly is in kind. I won't say there won't be any dollars, but most of it is in kind with our administrative support and the work that our Public Works Department has done. So I would ask you to approve the vision statement, which is part of what we had talked about last year, and also to approve the commitment letters for the cleanup grant for the properties located at 11 and 12 Point East Drive and 31 and 41 Point East Drive.
I don't know if there's a lot of the board members that know about this, but it's the only way we can sell it is by cleaning it, so it's not, this is really
very
terrific.
important.
Yeah.
Yes. All right, I'll make a motion to authorize the town manager to sign the vision statement and cost sharing commitment letters for the EPA brownfields cleanup application for properties located at 11 and 12 Point East Drive and 31 and 41 Point East Drive.
I'll second.
All those in favor? I'm sorry, Bob?
That's okay.
I'm sorry.
No, that's all right, that's all right. I just wanted to ask, is this $40,000 or possible $40,000, has that been appropriated sometime in the past?
We've asked for it. Is that what you're asking?
Yeah, well, if we was to have to put in $40,000, where are we going to get it?
If we are successful in obtaining the grant, our hope, Bob, and our goal is that most of it is in kind, and it would take a town meeting warrant article to approve an appropriation for additional funds.
Okay, but this can proceed up to that point without the money?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Any more questions, I'm sorry, from the board?
Sorry.
Try to roll this. All those in favor? 5-0. Thank you.
Thank you.
Report of hydraulic condition. I guess that's what it is.
Hydrologic.
Or whatever.
There's no action required on this. This report was sent to the Board of Selectmen from the State of Maine Drought Task Force. And so I just wanted to provide it to you, put it in the record. We haven't had many issues here in Wiscasset, but for those folks that are interested, we do have the links to the actual reports if you're interested in knowing what some of the issues and, more importantly, what some of the plans are for this. So.
Thank you. Correspondence from Elder Care Network of Lincoln County and New Hope for Women.
I just wanted to be sure that the board knew that we received thank you letters from these two organizations with the support of the Wiscasset taxpayers. Funds were appropriated, and these organizations wanted to specifically thank the Board of Selectmen and the taxpayers of the town of Wiscasset.
Thank you. Town Manager's Report.
We do appreciate the chairman's earlier comments about those folks that, the leadership team of the town of Wiscasset that worked hard on the storm events. I also wanted to mention the unsung heroes of the town of Wiscasset, and that's our sewer treatment plant. You saw from the payroll, those guys worked incredible hours to keep things moving. That's not a pun. And I just wanted to say that with Toby as the EMA director, he and his assistant Kristen worked very closely with all of the departments to make sure that we did all of the paperwork so that if there are federal funds to reimburse us, the town of Wiscasset will be eligible for those funds. We have had a lot of time and energy put into removal of trees and working with other folks. And I do know there are some private residents that also had damages. And I would encourage you to bring those pictures and that information into Toby at the EMS department so that he can help facilitate that paperwork for you. We did have some severe damage to the White's Island Bridge. I do have pictures if anybody is interested. Toby is going to take care of submitting this, and perhaps we can get some federal funds to help with some of the repairs on that. Because we obviously don't want to cause a navigation issue with it floating out to sea. So that's a recent one that we're working on. Some good news with staff. I want to talk about some good things that they have accomplished. In the wastewater treatment plant, Ray Bellevue has achieved his first-class license as a wastewater treatment operator. And for those of you that understand the science and technology of that's quite an accomplishment. So I wanted to share that with the board. One of the EMS employees, Anita Sprague, was successful in obtaining her advanced, is that how you refer to it, designation as an EMS provider. And that's an incredible amount of hours and a commitment to the town of Wiscasset. And so I wanted to make sure that the board was aware of those accomplishments. We do have some incredible folks that work for the town of Wiscasset, and I wanted to be sure to share that with you. I did receive an email from Lucia Droby. I did provide you all a copy of it, and I apologize it wasn't in the packet, but she sent it a little bit later than she expected. And she has submitted a request. I know all of you are familiar with the Holiday Market Fest that happens in the downtown. And so her and her group of folks have requested to place signs down in the village for the upcoming Holiday Market Fest, December 7th through the 10th. They'd like to place 2 A-frames on the green, one facing south and the other facing north. In addition, they'd like to place a series of lawn signs on the greens that indicate events and dates and special features, similar to what you previously allowed the library to do for their bans for books. And so I did tell Lucia that I would bring this forward to the board to see if you would approve this request.
I make a motion that we do approve it.
I'll second it. Any questions for the board members? All those in favor?
Thank you. I wanted to remind you all about the Veterans Celebration and ceremony that will be held out here at the Veterans Monument on Veterans Day at 9 a.m. I would invite all of you to attend to honor the veterans of Wiscasset and our country. With the help of the American Legion, we added the names that the board gave permission to add, and they are out on the monument. So if you have a moment, I would encourage you to stop by and see the names of the Wiscasset residents that have served our country, and we do thank them for that service. And that's all I have at this time.
Okay, thank you. Other board business. I'm sorry.
Well, I guess if you wanted that one too. Can you give us an update on the $500,000 in Town Square that's at, and we can get a report?
Sure.
Sure.
I will tell you that I have not had the opportunity to sit down with each one of the department heads individually to hear their thoughts. I do have some ideas, Ben. We also had a request from the budget committee to provide them with some revenue information. So it's still a work in progress. If there's I was going to have it ready for you when the budget process began, but if you want it in advance, I can plan to have it for you for the next meeting if that's what you would like.
Well, I would like to have it for the budget process.
I was going to make it part of the process, but I certainly can. I'm pleased to do it however you'd like.
Yes, if we don't do something now, we're gonna be in the budget process, and it's gonna be too late, just like it is every year.
I
Because this has
appreciate
been
that.
talked about, and talked about, and talked about, and then you're in the budget process, say, oh, like, that's a great idea, but it's too late. So we need to start on it immediately.
And I appreciate that comment. My thought was that the directive that I received from you is that you wanted to see a budget that was $500,000 less.
No, I
So I
wanted,
wasn't going to propose a budget that didn't have those cuts in
My
it.
motion was for you to prepare a list of cuts that would add up to $500,000 so that the board could review them
Okay?
and decide what they might or might not want to go forward with. If you've already prepared the budget, it's too late.
So is this something that we could have for December? December, first meeting in December?
We need to have it a month or two before the budget process.
Because we usually don't start the budget till what, February? I remember, February, March, somewhere in there. So is December meeting fine with everyone? Okay. Anything else for other board business?
Other board business?
Mm-hmm.
Well, yes, just for the heck of it. 2 or 3 weeks ago, we were discussing, we made the motion regarding the down street parking. And it was pointed out the selectmen's guidelines didn't allow for it.
Mm-hmm.
And I wanted to check because I wasn't sure. But this board has never approved those guidelines.
What do you mean, Joe?
Board has to do it.
We have to approve those every year.
Oh, really?
Because you have new members.
I've been a
As
selectman for
Mary-
9 years, and this is the first I've ever heard of this.
This is my 4th year coming back, and we've approved it the first 3 years. We have not done it this year.
Okay.
As Marion has often said, a previous board cannot bind a future board.
Then we'll put that on our next November meeting. You're welcome. Anything else? Yes, Bob?
One of the first things that came up after the last election was where we was going to vote. And there was some discussion about voting here in the town office. Now, another election slipped by and nothing happened. So I'm just wondering, are we going to have that discussion before the next election?
I can get the minutes to you. I did bring it up to the board. It's in the minutes. I most certainly did, right after you were.
Right, and it was going to come back to the board for discussion, but it never did. Otherwise, we would have discussed it and we would have reached a decision. This board has not done it.
I'll double check the minutes, but I believe the consensus was you wanted to continue to vote where you are, Bob. But I'll find those minutes, and if you want it on the next agenda, I'll put it on there.
Check the minutes, and if there isn't any type of consensus, then put it on the next agenda for discussion. Is that okay? Okay, anything else from the board? All right, let's go on to assessor business. We have 1, 2, 3, 4 abatements. And 1 supplemental. Do I have a motion on any of this?
Move it.
Second that.
The abatements and the supplemental, you're putting them all together?
Sure.
Okay. It's been moved and seconded? All those in favor? 5-0. Thank you. Can I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
All those in favor? Thank you.
Sign it before you